Marriage and money. So I've been married for 7 years, and it's been a struggle, and I believe it doesn't need to be such a struggle. And I love my husband, and sometimes I feel that our vibrational set point together is lower than what it is when we're separate. And he listens to your stuff just as much as I do. We have the same tools, but we struggle in aligning together. And I'm like, what is going on?
Well, it's a pretty common thing that both in marriage and money, in the same way that people are looking in places where the money isn't, they're looking for alignment or love or appreciation in places where it isn't in the moment. In other words, it's easy in a fluid situation where there are highs and lows, and sometimes more appreciation and sometimes not so much, and sometimes distraction and sometimes attention. It's easy to hold someone else sort of responsible for the way you feel. And it's a pretty common thing in relationship because you know how good another person can make you feel. And because you want so much to feel good. So then when they let down and don't do their job and don't make you feel good, it's easy to notice that you don't feel good and associate it with something that they're doing or not doing, and then making them responsible for the way you feel, which is the single most common denominator in the breakdown of relationships, more significant than all other things put together. So what it really comes down to is you just have to decide that you're going to be happy in the relationship, period. You're going to be happy in the relationship, and brace yourselves. And what the other person does is irrelevant. What the other person does is irrelevant. What the other person does is irrelevant because you can't control what they do, and that's what's freaking you out. Do you know that most relationships are based upon your belief in your ability to control the other? Do you ever listen to the people in the hair salons talking? Oh yeah, I've pretty much got him trained now, they say. Pretty much got him trained. And we say, run away, run far away. Nobody wants to be held hostage as the provider of your happiness, even though we are certain that for each other you want one another's happiness. But it turns bad. It can turn real bad when you actually believe and make someone else believe that you are responsible for the way I feel. Because there is no more common sucking the life out of someone feeling than to actually believe that they're responsible to do something that they can't do. Because they figured out, you see, when they were performing, and we're talking about either side of this, when your partner was performing in a way that was making you happy, if you had always stayed happy, they would have kept up that performance. But you trained them, we're talking to all of you, you trained them early on that you weren't always having it. You weren't always responding in that positive way, you see. You just have to let them off the hook. How does that feel? Not so good. When it feels better, blame really does feel better than guilt, we know. It feels better to blame someone else. But you'll never be free in that, you see. Okay. So we want to hear a little bit from you. Just mostly agreement.
My husband would be so happy with this answer you've just given.
Well, we're speaking it to both of you.
Yeah, yes.
In other words, you're not the only one
who
is looking. He looks to you for that as well.
Yes.
And gets bent out of shape when things aren't going his way as
Yes.
well. Everyone does. But there is no freedom in that, and there is no long-standing stability in that either. And we know it is so nice to have someone that is so lovely to be with, but then you are like a puppet that someone has let go of the strings if you have become dependent upon that. You have to find it.
Well, so we have a habit of blaming each other. And so it's been for so long. How do we break this habit? It's like we both have the desire, but the struggle is the same.
For example?
Well, money. I mean, it is the trigger. It is a big, big trigger. And if there's any conversation around it, there's instantly blame, I mean, vocally or just, emotionally.
Is there an easy way to get on the other side of that? We're just asking. If you think, in other words, it's easy to blame if there's not enough, in other words, blaming each other for how it has been managed, blaming each other for how it's been spent, blaming each other for how it's been earned.
All of it.
So could there be appreciating each other for how it's been earned? Is there any place for appreciation in that?
There could be, just hasn't been dominant.
But could there be? We're asking you to look for it now.
Yeah.
Sort of look through the fog and see if there is a place. So since you can't look for another, you can't be the eyes of another. If you were looking for a way to appreciate the money that is being earned, what do you see? When you set that intention, what do you see? You're smiling. Are you not seeing much?
No, it's happy. It makes me feel happy, and I appreciate.
So give us some details about that. What is it that you just focused on that improved the way you felt? Pretty steady earner.
Yeah, that he just created something from nothing, and that he did it.
Feels good, doesn't it? Good for him. Yeah. Now, the only reason you're feeling bad right now is because you feel bad that you didn't always feel good. But that's just dumb. Don't do that. Don't do that. Because you can't undo what you did. And so just feel good. So tell us a little more about that. What else? In other words, so he created something. He's what else? He stays after it. He cares about it. He's really a responsible person. That really feels good. Doesn't it feel good to acknowledge that?
Yeah, and that he didn't have any experience or anyone show him how to. He did it all himself, and he didn't have...
And is he done, or is there more coming? Does he have more? Is there more in his vortex that's yet to be revealed?
Yes.
Isn't that excilaring to think about what's coming? And don't you want to be in the place where you're encouraging that rather than stifling that?
Yes.
And doesn't it feel like you're in that place right now, this red hot minute?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you got on the other side of that way fast. In other words, that was just the simplest thing in the world to do. And so wouldn't you like to reflect some of that to him? Wouldn't you like to, you can do a long sentence or a short one, but what would you like to say to somebody who's done that? Hey, thanks. I think you're awesome. Good for you. I'm with you. Mm-hmm. I really like this. I love you. Yeah. Doesn't that feel good? You can't feel bad and good at the same time, and you get to choose which it is in this minute.
Right.
You see. So, now you said something really, really good. Oh, it may have been our favorite thing that you said. And that is that it's easier for both of you to be in alignment when you're not together. So, you have lots of opportunities to do this, what we just did. That's the most important thing that you can do. When you're not together, do that and do that and do that and do that and do that. What else? What other subject? In other words, there's lots of subjects that we know you feel equally wonderful about. Want to pick one now and focus on it? In other words, you said mostly it's money, but what else is it? What else is the sort of stumbling block?
That's the biggest. That's just the instant trigger.
All right, so that one, you know what to do, and things that come up often. That when something comes up often and it is resolved this easily, we know you don't have any problems. In other words, if that's the thing that bothers you the most, and you flipped so easily into alignment. You can flip into alignment again and again and again and again.
I can, but I flip out of it a lot.
All right. So what? Out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in. Have you ever watched somebody just try to stand in one place? They would just fall over. In other words, even the wire walker is gaining his balance. So what difference does it make? Of course, there are things that you fall off, but you can bring yourself back to center pretty easily. Let's practice some more. What else? What else? Besides the fact that he started from nothing, trained himself, started a business from scratch. Most businesses don't make it at all. His is producing income. What else wonderful thing would you like to focus upon your mate? What else?
What wonderful thing do I want to focus on? Oh, that he's loving and affectionate.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. Is that worth anything to you? Might want to focus there just a little bit.
I know, yes.
Loving and affectionate and starting his own business. There are people in this room that would like to hurt you. So, are you saying that he cares and that he tries and that he's not always perfect either? That he falls out sometimes too? So, what if he fell out but you were in? Or what if you fell out and he was in? It's only bad when you both fall out.
Yeah.
Or what if you were both more in?
That's what I want.
That's how it was in the beginning. That's how it was when you were falling in love. You were using each other as your object of attention and using each other as your excuse to tune into source energy. And now you're sort of holding each other hostage. You need to always make me feel that way. And yet you fall out, he falls out. So what about a goal to just be together when you're in? Don't worry about it when you're out, and do your best when you fall out of it to get back in it. Seems simple enough to us.
It sure does. It does.
So let's get the energy moving more here. You give us more, because we know it's easy for you. So he's loving and attentive and affectionate and a hard worker, and he really cares. What else would you like to amplify? Because what else?
That he's fun.
Ah, really?
Yes, and he's very witty. So he's a lot of fun to be around, and
Yeah.
people find him just, funny, and
Yeah. Is he funny for you?
yes,
Yeah. A lot.
yes.
So he's funny, and he cares, and he adores you, and his life isn't perfect.
Yeah, yes.
And he's expansive, and there's more coming.
Yeah.
And the platform is magnificent. What you're starting from, as you start right now, is so stable and good. Don't you feel exhilarated about what's coming?
When I stay in that space, yes, and I can get in that space.
Not when I stay in that space. Let's help you there. Not when I stay in that place. When I am in that place. Because no one stays there.
Okay.
No, nobody, we're not asking you to stay there. We're just asking you to acknowledge that the space is there to be had if you try.
Yes.
You tried this much, and you got there. Did you see how easy it was for her to go there? It was so easy for you to go there. So just go there until you've practiced that vibration most, you see. That's what real relationships, the wonderful relationships, and you've got that, are based on, is that there is so much more of that than anything else. But that's not the part you're talking to us about. You're not talking to us as you come up here, and we get that, but you're not talking to us about the part that is the stable basis and the most part. You're talking about the parts that you want to fix a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's what we meant when we said people do this all the time with both money and relationships. They look at the place where what they want isn't, and they make that the moment that they practice. Well, you're wanting to look at the place or the space or the subject where what you want is, and make that your point of focus until that becomes your dominant vibration. Because nobody can hold you as their object of attention. You're going to catch them out of alignment sometime. It's just, and it has to be okay, you see.